We're getting near to RCWA's Summer Stunner show. I'll get those words out. It's a double S. That could be interesting. We're talking to somebody today who's not only an up and comer in the UK scene, but someone who is already holding championships, including one at RCWA, which he'll be defending. And we'll get into that in a minute. He used to be a hot dog. He's now a Big Mac. It is Harry McDonald. Good evening, Harry. How are you doing, mate?
Thank you, man. I'm doing good. Cheers for having me on.
No problem. Thanks for taking some time to come on and have a chat. We'll get into all things RCWA shortly, but
Mhm.
we're nearly halfway through the year already. I think January seemed like it went on for years, and then the rest of the months have literally gone like not like a bowling and dropped. How has the 2024 been for Harry McDonald so far?
Um, Roller coaster, really. Ups and downs. I've either been at the very top or I've been very low. But overall, I'm just extremely grateful for what I've been given, the opportunities I've been given, what I've been able to achieve. So, pretty fun year, to be fair.
And how many matches have you wrestled so far this year that you can remember?
But probably at least one a week, looking more so two a week most days. So it's hard to say, really. How many? Probably like halfway through the year. I reckon I've probably had about 50 matches so far, something like that.
Wow. 50 matches, and we're only in May, so you're looking at probably hitting the treble figures this year in matches. In
Hopefully.
matches, hopefully. So, in terms of that, this year, I mean, we've been to quite a few shows. I mean, I've not been to as many as some people post. They're on show 40 and things like that of the year. But you look at the British scene at the moment and the talent that's on there. How do you look at trying to differentiate yourself? Because obviously to get into other promotions, and obviously we'll talk about your short, medium, and long-term goals soon. But to get to that, do you have to differentiate yourself from other people on the scene?
Yeah, I think that's really important. It's definitely something that I focus on quite a lot. Um, I think arguably more than a lot of people over here at the moment. Um, that's just in my own opinion. Um, I think I see this thing once, and he was talking about how The Rock only did like basically simple moves and stuff like that, but he did everything as The Rock. If he's doing an elbow drop, it's The Rock's elbow drop. He's doing a spine buster, it's The Rock's. Like it was so easily identifiable. So there's things like that always resonate with me. Where even if I'm doing things that tons of other people are doing, it doesn't necessarily mean that I need to completely differentiate. I might just need to just tweak it a little bit to make it the Big Macs kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, certainly. I understand even the facial expression of The Rock. So it's like his move, the way that he
Mm-hmm.
not only performs the move, because sometimes that is a bit different to everybody else. It's the expressions. It's even sometimes what you do after hitting that move to
Mm-hmm.
differentiate, but make it your own, I gather.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah, that's interesting, actually. And so growing up, and obviously you're still quite a young guy, what was it growing up? What sort of got you into wrestling growing up as a kid or nowadays?
I think it would have just come on the TV back as a kid. I had like multiple phases where like I got into it really young, maybe like I don't know, 3, 4 years old or something.
Yeah.
And then I'd interested in it for a few years, and I kind of fell out of it. And I found it again, and that happened like 2 or 3 times. And then maybe when I was about I don't know 13 or something, I kind of got back into it again, and then it just never left. So when I was around 15, I think, I just decided I want to do this as a career. So I found a training school, started learning, and here we are. I'm working my way up.
You certainly are. What was the biggest bit of advice at training school that always resonates with you when you're going through the wrestling journey that you're going on?
Mm-hmm. It's a really weird one. It's like the best piece of advice I've got from training is just the best piece of advice I've generally got ever. I can't remember what it was, right? And I don't know why it resonated with me so much. But I was at my first training school that I was at under a guy named Lucas Jackson. Um and it was something to do with I weren't sure if I could do a move or something, right, very early on. And he said, look, put it this way. If you try this and it doesn't work, you can't do it. You're in the exact same position you was before as if you didn't try it. And if you try it and you can do it, then you're in a better position. So how can you lose? And then I thought that works with everything. Like almost like 99% of things in life you can apply that to. So yeah, that just really resonated with me.
That's a really interesting one. I always get to when I was doing again. I've done it for about a month, and I soon learned that I was never going to do it.
Mhm.
I said it was less was more. Sometimes,
Yeah.
and I find that quite a lot with some promotions that I go and see. I'm not going to name them, but it's like I sometimes feel matches should be, and they're always kind of they're always great matches, but they're always kind of 50-50. And you know when you kind of think like it needs to be more 60-40 or 70-30 when you're
Uh-huh.
when a champion's defending his title, a bit like yourself when you're defending your title, but if you're defending it against somebody that people don't necessarily know, I get you have to kind of get people to want the or potentially get that other guy over. But I do feel as if sometimes in even just in general in the independent scene, it's too close every match, if that makes sense. I do like that
Mhm.
differentiation where one guy just comes in 6 minutes, kills somebody, then leaves.
Yeah.
I feel as if we need a bit more of that on the independent scene. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah. I mean, not to like completely kill kayfabe, but I do agree. I think the main issue is just would be egos.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to be on the top of the card. Everyone wants to be in these good positions, and they kind of fret. I feel like that if they were to, it's not even putting themselves down. It's just to tell the right story, and sometimes people aren't willing to do that because they feel like they need to make themselves look better. Where it's actually the opposite. It's like you could come out looking better by doing a lot less because everything means more. Everything is more intentional, you know? And especially, like you said, if it is a situation where the thing you want to mess around with is, say, the control of the match rather than it being 50-50, it is like a 70-30 with one person having more of the control. That doesn't necessarily mean you come out looking worse. It's how you deal with it. Like, I feel like some of the best movies ever is to do when the villain is like completely running everything the whole time, like per se, and then you have right at the end, you get the big comeback, and then the hero, saves the day. So I think it's just a case of being willing to look at the situation or the match you're in or promo or whatever, and just think how these two characters actually interact with each other in the real world, and then you do the realistic thing there. That's how I like apply my stuff.
Yeah, I also remember hearing the late Scott Hall say sometimes you can have your best match just doing a job for someone. He
Mm-hmm.
was talking about
Mm-hmm.
a match with Triple. I think he was talking about a Triple H match. That I think it was the curtain. Well, I think the curtain call you may have seen. I know it's probably before your
Yeah.
time, but the curtain call happened, and it was actually that match that he was talking about where he was like, "I'm leaving the next day," like But he felt as if it was his best ever match that he ever had doing it, just because of I suppose people that you're in the ring with and everything else. But so let's go back a bit about you. How did you develop your character, and how long did that process kind of take? Or are you still tweaking the character every time you go in there?
Uh, yeah, I feel like I'm in a comfortable point right now. I feel like I just unconsciously develop it over time. When I first started off, I thought, um, but even now, but especially when I started off, it was what can I do to make sure that I can be booked? And it was like, right, well, let me look at companies and see what they need. The company where I started off at, they had no tag teams and they didn't really have many like great fleshed out characters. So I thought I'm going to be in a tag team because you need that. I can still do singles as well, but you need that. And then I'm going to get myself a great character. So I started off doing something pretty similar to what I do at the moment, but it was more of like a chavvy roadman leading like even more into it, and just like basically just pure kind of comedy. Um, and then with time, my tag partner left wrestling. I thought, okay, I need to like develop myself more, and I started going more into the kind of like carrying myself like a musician or a rapper or a rock star. So where they have like all this confidence and bravado and just so much belief in themselves. And then either if you like that person and I'm a good guy and that's my role, then I can just be this cool, fun dude. And then if I need to be the villain, I'm doing the opposite. Then it's like, well, I can just play up how much I love myself and just get under your skin.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because some characters you've kind of got one there that can play that kind of role. I was talking to Arthur Scaro recently, and he's kind
Okay.
of got a Jekyll and Hyde pirate type gimmick, so that and it depending on, as you say, whether you're the hero or the villain, can be whatever he
Mm-hmm.
turns the pirate. He can be like the I don't know Pirates of the Caribbean style, or he can be the other side of that. So it's quite interesting how a character develops over time, and you can play it because in some companies you're different. You know, one night you could be playing the face, and then the next night you're playing the heel, right? So you've got to
Mhm.
divulge your character a little bit compared to where you are. But I've seen you at shows where you've actually just come along, like to help out. I mean, we've done
Yeah.
it quite a few times when we've been there. And I feel as if that's sometimes what's missing with, not necessarily every wrestler. And obviously, every wrestler's different circumstances and stuff like that. They can't always do it. But I always feel that the best way to get into a company or to start a company is just by going there, helping out, doing bits like you do, and
Mhm.
stuff like. Is that kind of how you see it as well? By going to places, sort of say, look, I'm available. Bring your gear in case somebody, you've had pullouts on days of shows before, and if you've got your gear, you can go in and do it. Is that kind of important? What you should do on the scene is get yourself about, get yourself out there, and just offer to help in some cases if a company, if you're at a company show.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's very important. I'm not. I don't go into it as much as a lot of other people do. I definitely think I could do it more. Um, but like my belief is more so that focus on what I can control, right? So I can control my diet, like how much I'm working out, how much I'm training, the intent I'm putting into my promos, my promotional content. And then through that, I make myself good enough and available. Like I said at the beginning, if a company needs a tag team, then I can go to them and be like, look, I've got this tag team. Or if they need a character, I've got this. You need a heel, I can do this. Face, I can do this. So then when it comes to helping out on shows and stuff, for me at this point, I mostly do it to support people who I just genuinely like. And it's not a case of trying to get booked.
Hmm.
It's more so just trying to, be there for people and support wrestling as a whole. And then if something comes from that, then that's brilliant. But I've never crewed with that sole intention. It's always more so to help out not only the company, but the ones I'm crewing on are going to have like my friends and people like that on the show as well. So I get to support them. And then, like you said, get my face there. And then if you have something for me, brilliant. I've already been around it, And worst case scenario, I get to just support British wrestling. So there's not really a loss in there for me.
No, there's not a loss in there for us either. We do that, whether it's Ignite or Progress or our championship, and more on that before we come off the air because that match has just been announced by Ignite actually. So I need to.
Yeah, that one's going to be a banger. That one really needs to be a banger.
I better plug that one and the rest of the card. But we are going to talk RCWA very, very shortly. But just before that, I did mention that we'd talk about short, medium, and long-term goals, Harry. If say, could have a goal between now and the end of the year, now and the end of next year, and then later down the line, where would you like to be in those situations?
By the end of the year, I just want it to be known I'm here to stay and that like I'm taking this seriously. I think it's taken me some time to earn people's respect, and whilst that's not what I do it for, I do it for well, that's how other thing. I just do it for the enjoyment, for the fans, everything. But by the end of the year, yeah, I just want to just make sure that people know who I am. They get the character. They see my intentions of what I'm trying to get across to them, and to just continue having really good matches, just so people can see again that I can do it. Within the next few years, like a medium term goal, I really want to start working abroad. I think I've got the um, talent for it now. I think I've worked long enough. I've worked some really good people. I think that's something I definitely want to explore. And I've had some talks with a few companies, so hopefully that's going to develop. And in terms of like a real long term goal, um, it's hard to say. I don't like to say it too far in advance because then I think I'll kind of demotivate myself because of how far away it is. But definitely, like my main like long term one at the moment is to just get to the top companies in the UK, the ones that are getting the US imports, who are getting these ex WWE guys, who are using the best wrestlers in the country and in the rest of the UK. If I can get to that, get to a Progress, a Rev Pro, like those top-ish ones, um, then I'll reassess and okay, what do I want to do now? Do I want to go to this country? Do I want to do this? But in terms of like long-term goals, that's as far as I'm looking at the moment.
No, that's good. That is very good and kind of a good way to do it in the UK to go to one of those two. We enjoyed both of those shows, but we go to and attend Rev Pro and Progress. But the show that we're attending very soon is right behind me. RCWA Summer Stunner. I've got to get used to that with double S. That is a very dodgy one to remember.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the card is looking good already. Obviously, Nina and Sapphire has already been announced.
Yeah.
Kelly Six and Corey McRae. I think that's going to be a bit of a brawl. I think they're brawling everywhere they go at the moment, them two.
Yeah, man. They can't help it.
They can't be separated at all. And you will be taking on, obviously, Tommy Lawrence for your elite championship. When a company, and it doesn't matter how big, how small they are, trusts a competitor with a championship, because you're really one of those guys now that people are going to want to pay to see, right? That's why that's one of the reasons they're shoving the belt on you. They trust you in the ring and you got put bums on seats. How does that make you feel in terms of proudness? But also, does that crank up the pressure on you to have to deliver more for that company than say anywhere else that you're not a champion?
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely more pressure that comes with it, and it's definitely a great achievement and compliment at the same time. Obviously, it's predetermined, but at the end of the day, the fact that a company has put that trust in you to essentially just lead them through the future, it means so much, because when you put in all this time and effort into something, to get that kind of acknowledgement of it is, yeah, it's great. Especially like a company like RCWA. I think it is, yeah. When you look at the lineage of the people who have held the title and the people who, like you said, fighting on the same card, that women's match with Saf and Nina, that's going to be brilliant. Kelly and Corey, you know, they only have bangers, so that's a certified banger. Yeah, I really appreciate the fact that I've had these opportunities, and I'm going to continue to make the most of them.
You certainly should. You're certainly very qualified from what I've seen in that position. I will let you have a bit with Tommy in a second. I want to leave that till the end before we break off to the end of the show. So before that, I just want to ask a couple of random questions, wrestling questions. If you've seen the podcast, you've seen it before.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna ask you a few of those, and then we'll then get to Tommy. So the first one is you get a call from, I don't know, anyone really, Progress or anyone like that, and they say, right, Harry, we're going to bring you in. You're going to have a fatal four-way. You can choose the imports, who they're going to be.
So they're from other countries, yeah?
Yeah, other countries, other promotions, even the bigger ones. It doesn't matter for this particular moment.
Okay. I'd like a good mix in there. So I'll probably go for someone who's, you know, can do some real athletic, flippy kind of moves. So from over here, probably someone like Joe Lando, Leon Slater, Danny Black, someone who's got that in them. Then I definitely want a big character, so I can bounce off them. So someone say like a Crowley or someone from over here. There's a guy, I think his name's Charles Mason, I think, in America. He's got this really good character as well. Someone like him could be great. Tate Mayfair's over here as well, someone like that. And then probably someone who's very well respected, some kind of veteran. So even someone like who Progress have coming in at the moment, like Shelton Benjamin, someone like that. But yes, yeah, it's so hard to say because there's so many people I want to wrestle. But if I was going to have a fatal four-way, I'd want that balance. I'd want someone who can do just absolutely insane things. I just don't know how you do it. I want someone who can really push me to like the character limit, which I think is often what I do to other people. And then I'd want someone who's just like, just a legend, man. There's someone who can just really like, you can pick their brain as well, but just to be in the ring with them is just such a privilege. So that's how I'd structure it. I'm not sure exactly who I'd put in it, but that's like how I'd structure it.
A good mix of characters, crazy moves, and a wily veteran to learn from. Sounds like a good fatal four-way. And yeah, it is important also when you've got people like that. I mean, we had Ignite, we had Eddie Dennis come along recently, took on Mike. And Mike, when we were talking upstairs after, he said, I've never learned so much. And that's kind of what the point of the turnbuckle champion is. It's not only to put on great matches, but it's a great learning experience. But you've really got to have to want to learn from these people. And like Mike and Eddie were talking for ages. Eddie come out and sat, I think, through the whole card, which was great. But it's also great when you're on that. So when he's out there, you've got to say to them, like, watch my match, give me feedback, because that is really important in how you mold yourself going forward, isn't it?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I mean, there was a period where I don't know. I think it was more so at the beginning when I started off. I had no issues with it because most of the people I'm working with, I know them what I'm training with. As I started to go out to other companies where I'm meeting more people that I don't know and are more higher up and more established, I felt a little bit, I guess, kind of just insecure, a bit nervous to think like I don't really want to bother them. I'd rather just do my thing, and if they give me some advice, that's great. But that didn't last for too long because I just thought, what are you doing, man? I need to get this knowledge, bro. I need that. So I like, yeah, some of the people over here who've been working for so long, like Paul Robinson, Shah Samuels, like these people have given me. I've learned so much from them just from them watching my match and like asking them and picking their brain and stuff like that. So I think if I come up, I don't necessarily do it every show, but I try to every show, you know?
Yeah. You've got to make the most of it when they're there, aren't they? Because they're not going to be there. I mean, someone like Paul Robinson does the circuit quite a lot and things like that. But if you've got like an import like that, or you've got like, as you say, Shelton Benjamin's at Progress, you're
Mm-hmm.
going to want him to be watching, or even Santana that's going to be there as well,
Yeah.
and people like that, people that have done the circuit in America, they're going to know what people want as well as they're going to know what the companies want, right? So it's all about doing that and feeding off of their advice and learning and taking the criticism as well. If they didn't like something, I think JJ Gal said it because he had Orange Cassidy. They done a show at Rev Pro Osprey's last independent show, High Stakes. We went to that as well. And obviously, Orange Cassidy come out. Actually, Orange Cassidy was part of the show in the end, but they had him, Darby Allen, Tony Khan all backstage, and it was just like he was needing to ask those questions to for those guys. And Orange gave him some advice, and I think Darby might have said a couple of bits, and even Tony Khan. So, but you got to take advantage when they're there, of course. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that you will. Playlist. You're in the gym. You're working out. 5 wrestling songs you want me played are what?
Well, like wrestling entrance themes.
Yep, or pay-per-view songs, either or, depending on what we
Okay. 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 Both of CM Punk's themes, they're great. So we'll put them in there. We'll go Randy Orton's like old theme, not Voices, the one before that. That one was really good.
Kill me now with that. Mercy Drive, Burning My Light.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. That one. That was great.
Oh,
Adam Cole's Ring of Honor one was
yeah.
really good. That was great. Kofi Kingston's like first one.
Oh, Trouble in Paradise.
Yep, that was great. And I don't know. Maybe like it's so hard. So hard. I was gonna say like John Cena or whatever, just for like could be either of his because they're just so goated, but there's so many. I was like
Bugonomics and your time is now, right?
yeah, yeah. But then like I think yeah, it's either that as the last one, or it's Steve Austin's because when the glass shatters, it's just like it's done, isn't it? It's so done.
Yeah, it's over at that point. You know, another kind of underrated one, and I've had him on the show. Maven, his name was.
Yeah.
He had he was really underrated. I think it sometimes depends on the mood. I can start at the moment. I'm really digging RKJ's theme, so I'm literally that's one of my ones. And Derice, if I could get him singing, like I've got the beat of it, but I need him doing it to hopefully I'm going to get it recorded when at Ignite in July, and we'll
Sick.
have that for sure. 3 wrestlers that you invite round for dinner. Who are they going to be? Like 3 wrestling personalities. It doesn't have to be wrestlers. It's 3 people in wrestling to invite round for dinner. Who are they?
Probably just go for most of my like favorite guys. So I'm probably gonna go like Kurt Angle, Shawn Michaels. But they're guys who like they could bring anything. You don't, especially Shawn. You don't know what you're gonna get with him. You might get like a bit of something. But they've got to be a lot of personality in them too. And then maybe like probably The Rock. The Rock could just be pretty sick to me, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Because like not only could you pick his brain for the wrestling side, but he's got all the movies
Yeah.
and all that stuff as well. So I'll probably go them for it.
He was the Tooth Fairy. I mean,
Exactly, man. How many people can say that?
well, only him, I think, at this point. Let's move on now to RCWA, and your opponent, RCWA, is the Maverick Tommy Lawrence, Playmaker, sorry, Tommy Lawrence, not the Maverick, that's somebody else, the Playmaker Tommy Lawrence. I mean, when I look at Tommy, and before I get you to have your say on him, let's praise him for a minute. I mean, he's got a lot. He's another really one of these rising stars of the independent game. He's got pretty much a total package in a lot of sense of what he
Undeniably, man.
is this a kind of match that suits you as a wrestler? Was this a type of person that if you were saying I want to go in the ring with, it would be someone like Tommy Lawrence who's got a bit of everything?
I think it doesn't matter. I just think Tommy Lawrence should just be scared. Because quite frankly, look, let me grab the belt as well. Because
you got the belt.
This is realistically, this is about as close as he's ever going to get to it. But like I just said, it's undeniable his talent. Tommy has power. He has charisma. He has built himself up, and everyone over here and that steps in the ring with him knows that he has a great future in British wrestling or any wrestling as a whole, right? But as far as I know, I've never seen Tommy Lawrence hold a championship. Actually, no, I see him hold a tag championship once, actually. I did see him hold a championship. But where's your singles at, Tommy? I don't see it. And even at RCWA, me and him were supposed to have a match before. It didn't happen. He faces Ryan, my tag partner, and he beats him. So I can't deny the fact, right, that he is a great wrestler. But is he the elite one? No. No, he's not. And because of that, the Big Mak Harry McDonald leaves Raynham still the Elite One champion. So, keep hitting the gym, keep going to Catch 22 with Mike Bird. He's a great trainer. I'm sure it will teach you loads, man. But just don't expect to leave with a championship, because I've beaten Paul Robinson, I've beaten Maverick Mayhew, and I will beat anyone that is stacked in front of me. So please, Tommy, bring your A game, because these matches are the exact reason I get on these podcasts, because they are bangers and they draw eyes. They draw attention. And this one is no different. This is already selling tickets, okay? But like I said before, I am the Elite One. And that's why this is my division. So he can try, and he's going to continue to line my bank account. But that's about it.
That is about it. Well, RCW, you can still get tickets. Call the ticket line 07804 587 332. We've already mentioned the card on the show. That's been announced. Anyway, more to be announced, I am sure. We will be there in June. I'm celebrating a birthday. Not on that day, but that week.
Nice.
A couple of days. So we'll talk about. We'll see you there. I need to shamelessly plug now a different show. I'm sorry, RCWA, but we kind of have a show coming up that's, got a bit of a hit in the turnbuckle. That would be Buckle Up in July with Ignite Wrestling Pro. We're going to be presenting Buckle Up 2, Buckle Up 2024. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. We've done one last year. It was so successful that we're bringing it back this year, but it's bigger, better, and you never know who's going to show up, which is now my tagline. But anyway, on the card so far, main event is Adonis Payne versus Tommy Kyle versus Gene Money versus man like Doris in the four-way. For Adonis Payne's championship. Corey McRae has said he will walk away from RCWA if he loses his next
Ignite. He will walk away from Ignite, the place where
Harry.
he was the main champion for a long, long time.
He was. Sorry, I got RCWA behind me. That was my thing. Corey said he'll walk away from Ignite if he loses his next match. He said to us, we were talking backstage actually, and he said, like, don't give me an easy ride. If I'm going to go out, I want to go out on a high. So we just decided, well, how about Luke Jacobs, Corey? And I think he's happy, but whether he'll be happy come the end of that match at Ignite is another thing. And then the match that's just been announced today is Mark True going against Smashing Mike for the Turnbuckle Championship. Mark True has been a thorn in my ass since we announced the Turnbuckle title in July. Didn't want a match for it, just wanted it to be handed to him.
I hate this guy, man. I hate this guy, and I hate that he's so talented. Yeah, because like I get in the ring with him, and yeah, we make a whole load of money. But I can't beat this guy, man. I can't. At least at the moment, I don't know why. I can't figure it out. Okay, Smashing Mike, he's faced him before. I'm not sure if he beat him before, but I know he's faced him before, and I know Smashing Mike is another person who's extremely talented. So this really could go either way. You look at the reign that Smashing Mike has had. Is that not one of the most dominant things in Ignite? If scratch that, is that not one of the most dominant things in UK wrestling right now? Yes, yes, it is. But then, on the other hand, you do have Mark True, who has absolutely blown up in the last year, gone to every company in the UK, and the last thing that he needs is another bloody championship right now. Okay, so that's going to be a real interesting one. The whole card's going to be a real interesting one, but that one especially is I've got my eyes on it.
Yeah, I've got my eyes on it for obvious reasons. I would like to think Mike's reign's going to continue, but Mark has a habit of where there's a will, there's a way, and that's my concern. Mike has had a dominant reign, although did technically lose the title in the last show. I had to get involved to make sure that that match got restarted, but that's also a concern. See, does Mike drop his guard too much that Mark capitalizes on? A one drop, one little hiccup like that, Mark's going to win the
Yeah.
match. So I have to be concerned with that. Also, Artemis and Aluna will take on Sapphire and an unnamed tag partner. I've got word of who it is, but I can't say it on here.
It's me. It's me.
It's not
It's
you,
not.
unfortunately. No, it's not. And other matches to be announced, but let's just say the other matches that are going to be announced are going to be very entertaining. Hence why I said you never know who's going to show up. But before that, Harry, it was great talking to you. I will see you, yes, at RCWA on the 23rd of June. Make sure you're there. Ticket hotline again, 08704 587 332. Do not miss the Summer Stunner RCWA. They will be announcing more shows throughout the year, and we will do our best to get to them all. But Harry, it's been great talking to you. I will see you in a month's time. Guys, we'll be back with some more interviews. I've got some names that I can't drop yet that we're getting close to agreeing to come on the show. But I will also be at Progress Wrestling this weekend for Super Strong Style 16 on Sunday and Monday. If you're there, I'll see you there. But until then, everybody, he is the Big Mac, Harry McDonald, the Elite One champion at RCWA. I am your host, Adam Cousins. And until next time, everybody, buckle down, stay safe.